Hello, and welcome to Reallusion Hints and Tips. Facial deformation made easy. Photoreal versus cartoon style. This tutorial shows you, the user, how to quickly and easily use the parametric deformation tools provided inside of iClone to manipulate the head mesh. Using these tools, along with the same texture image in many different ways to create exciting new shapes and styles, you can simply model a new character head anytime you want with only default resources. Above is an example of the diversity you can achieve when using different settings when editing your mesh, using either a default image or your own. You will learn two methods used to create these styles, both photoreal and cartoon. These methods can be accomplished in 22 easy-to-follow steps. In step number 1, open iClone and go to Avatar, Character, Template, and select the male hero. Double click, and now you're ready to move on to step number 2. In step number 2, use hotkey Control F7 to activate the character selection panel. Then click on the Add button to insert a new character. Move your new avatar by using Control key Alt plus right after clicking Close. Position your character to the right of character 0. And again select the male hero by double-clicking on it. Go ahead and click OK, and you're now ready to move on to step number 3. In step number 3, use the Zoom, Pan, and Roll XZ tools to position your camera where you can see both of the avatars at the same time to see the comparison of the photoreal and cartoon styles. You're now ready to move on to step number 4. In step number 4, select Head, Faces, and then Modify to open the facial features portion of iClone. You're now ready to move on to step number 5. Step number 5, you will begin to develop character 1 with the cartoon style first, starting with the brow and then moving on section by section. Under eyebrows, move the low-high slider all the way up to high. Move the furrow raise slider halfway to the raise. And then the flatten arc slider halfway to arc. You're now ready to move on to step number 6. In step number 6, under the eyes portion of the menu, move the small large slider halfway toward large, the lower corner raise corner slider 1/4 of the way towards raise corner, then leave the narrow wide slider in its current position, and then move the low high slider halfway towards high. You're now ready to move on to step number 7. In step number 7, under the nose portion of the menu, move the tilt hook slider halfway to the hook side, move the pinch flare slider halfway towards flare, move the in out slider 1/4 of the way towards out, and the point bulb slider all the way towards bulb. You now should begin to see the transformation taking place. You're now ready to move on to step number 8. In step number 8, under the ears portion of the menu, move the in and out slider forward towards out. Move the no lobe lobe slider halfway towards lobe. Then move the back up slider backwards 1/4 of the way towards back, and the rounded pointer slider all the way back to rounded. You're now ready to move on to step number 9. In step number 9, the mouth will be the next area. Move the purse wide slider toward wide halfway. Then the thin thick slider halfway back to thin. The concave convex slider halfway towards convex. And the down up slider halfway toward up. You're now ready to move on to step number 10. In step number 10, move all 3 sliders to the forward position. This is for jutting, wide, and full. You're now ready to move on to step number 11. In step number 11, the cheeks menu, move the sunken full slider halfway toward the full end. Move the narrow wide slider halfway toward wide. And then move the jowl slider back halfway towards jaw. You're now ready to move on to step number 12. And finally, in step number 12, the cheekbone portion of the menu, move the down up slider forward to the up position. Move the flat raised slider halfway toward raised. And then move the narrow wide slider all the way up to wide. You now have your cartoon style. Please note this is only one exaggerated version of a cartoon style that can be further edited to your specifications. Save as many different examples as you need for multiple character head styles. We'll now move on to step number 13. In step number 13, make sure you save your custom head before moving on to edit character 0. Go to Head, Custom, New Folder, and name it. And then choose Add to place the head inside your library. You're now ready to move on to step number 14. In step number 14, again use hotkey Control plus F7 to access the character selection panel, and then use the rollout menu to access character 0. Select character 0, close, then select Modify. You're now ready to move on to step number 15. In step number 15, you will begin to develop character 0 with the photo real style now. Be sure that you hit the Reset All button to reset all of the parameters before beginning to edit. Go ahead and select Brow, and then under Eyebrows, the Low-High slider, move halfway back to the low side. Move the Furrow Raise slider back 1/4 towards furrow, and flatten arc forward 1/4 towards arc. You're now ready to move on to step number 16. In step number 16, moving on to the eyes portion of the menu, move the small large slider halfway back to the small side, and leave the next 3 sliders in their current positions. You're now ready to move on to step number 17. In step number 17, under the nose portion of the menu, you won't need to make many modifications either. Leave the tilt hook slider in its current position, also the in-out slider as well. Move the pinch flare slider 1/4 back towards pinch. Also, the point bulb slider all the way towards bulb. You're now ready to move on to step number 18. In step number 18, under the ears portion of the menu, make sure that all sliders are in their current positions. You can skip this step completely if you so choose. Moving on to step number 19. In step number 19, moving on to the mouth area, move the purse wide slider back halfway towards purse, then move thin thick slider 1/4 forward towards thick, and then move the concave convex slider 1/4 forward towards convex. leaving the down-up slider in its current position. You're now ready to move on to step number 20. In step number 20, moving on to the chin portion of the menu, move the weak jutting slider halfway forward towards jutting. Move the narrow wide slider halfway back towards narrow. And then move the sharp full slider back towards sharp. You're now ready to move on to step 21. In step 21, moving on to the cheeks portion of the menu, move the sunken full slider halfway back to sunken. Move the narrow wide slider 1/4 towards wide, and then move the jowl slider backwards halfway towards jaw. You're now ready to move on to step number 22. In step number 22, under the cheekbones portion of the menu, please be sure to check and make sure that all sliders are in their current positions. Then save your custom head by moving on to Custom, New Folder, name your new folder, then select the Add button. This will place your new custom head inside your library. Name your custom head, then move on. For more information on this, please visit www.reallusion.com or contact technical support.